All right, and we are live on YouTube. I'll pass it over to you guys.
Thank you. Well, welcome everyone to the May 4th, 2021 Town of Henrietta Conservation Board. I will call the roll. William Santos, that's me. Robin Savaglia. Bud Snyder.
Right here.
Steve Coffey.
Here.
Noreen Reardon.
Here.
Sarah Hogan.
Here.
And Richard Alford. Good to see everyone. Thank you. We have a full house. First item on the agenda is the meeting minutes for April 6th, 2021. They were revised and sent to you today via email, and I do need a motion for those, please. And Noreen has moved. Thank you. A second, please. Richard. All right. Are there any further discussions on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Great, thank you. The minutes are approved. Are there any board member reports?
I had wanted to talk about something very quickly.
Yes, Noreen, board member report. I don't
now?
hear you.
Can you hear me?
yet. That's better.
That's better.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep.
Sarah, would you mind putting up, I sent Sarah some pictures because I've been talking about invasive species and I just wanted to give an example so everybody knows what I'm talking about. So Ladder Road, Wegmans property that's the entrance to Wegmans, and it has a whole bunch of ornamental pears on the property, probably 50 of them. Next one, please, Sarah. Then if you go to this area behind it, it's probably 9 acres. And those are all ornamental pears that have just been seeded by the birds back there. Would you go please just through the next two, just briefly? It goes on and on and on and on and on.
Wow.
And it's just from those pears in the parking lot at Wegmans. And, you know, people might say, well, so what? They're pretty and they're trees. But what they do is they crowd out the native plants that our native birds
Right.
need to survive, and all of our other native critters too. So when I say we shouldn't use ornamental pears anymore because they're invasive, that's what I'm talking about. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Thank you.
That's a great point. Thank you, Noreen. Any other board member reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to the first application, which is application number PB 327, York subdivision for review of preliminary subdivision for a 4-lot residential subdivision on 1.87 acres of property located on Jefferson Road in an R120 zone district. And we have someone here tonight representing.
Yep. Hello, my name is Joshua Saxton. I work for Pastoral Associates, and I will be representing a client today for this meeting. As stated, the property is located off of Jefferson Road. I'm just going to share my screen real quick.
Sounds good.
Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay. So, as stated, the property is located off of Jefferson Road, next to New Tudor Road. It is 1.87 acres, zoned R120. Just kind of go through the plan. So this is our existing conditions and demolition plan. It's mainly forested right now, and we show a proposed tree line for clearing for the 4 houses. There are some trees that we're proposing to protect. We have it called out on the plan to protect them from disturbance during the development of the site. To get a little more into the site, the entrance will be off of Jefferson Road. And as I stated before, we have the 4 houses proposed, all meeting the setback requirements laid out in the zoning code. We also have this private 20-foot drive that will be used to connect the houses to Jefferson Road. Next, utilities. Water is going to be provided off of Jefferson Road. We're going to have to drill under the road to go to get the connection to the existing main that's along the north side of the road. Sanitary is going to run along the eastern side of the property up to Jefferson and then go east to an existing manhole that's located off-site. Stormwater, there isn't any stormwater ponds. A SWIP wasn't required for this project due to the size and the use. So all of the stormwater from the roofs will go to downspouts, which have splash boxes. And all of the runoff from the site will be collected via swales that will follow the natural drainage pattern south through the site. In addition to the grading changes, we're proposing erosion control fence around the site to limit the impact they have on neighboring properties. And we also have a project entrance that will be, meet the DC requirements for a stabilized project entrance, so that we're not tracking mud onto Jefferson Road. I know that there wasn't a landscaping, planting, lighting plan submitted with this project. That is proposed to be submitted on the next resubmission after the town comments are received. We will meet the requirements for 8 trees per acre, which I think for this site comes out to about 15 trees. So we'll be planting at least 15 trees on the site with the landscaping notes, the watering plan, and all of the other town requirements required for landscaping. And at that time, if the town has any changes to any of the species we are proposing, we will gladly make any changes to the site. I think that's about it for this. It's a relatively small site, but I'd be willing to answer any questions that the board has.
So Josh, I just wanted to pick up on one thing. The residential requirements for a tree planting is usually 2 per lot. Just
Okay, for that.
for your information. I know it probably works out pretty close to the same, so, but it is just 2 per lot, and we like to locate them away from utilities. So that's going to be a bit of a challenge on, keeping away from the back where you have the sanitary, I see. But
Yeah, we'll make sure to place them so that it's not impacting any of the proposed utilities we're showing.
So 2 trees per lot versus the 8 trees per disturbed acre.
Mhm.
Commercials. I'll write that down here.
And one thing I forgot to mention was the green space. I know that also, I don't think that was on the site data, but it's around 74% for the site total.
Good. I'll mark that down. Thank you. Good. Who wants to go first? Sorry, I jumped in there. Bud.
I'll take it first. Josh, a couple of things. First of all, there's some dedicated land west of your parcel that I assume stays wild.
You're talking right here?
The parcel exactly west of what you're proposing. It's listed as dedicated to Jefferson Estates. I assume that's separate.
Yeah.
That still will remain.
Yeah, we're only proposing disturbance inside the project area that we are working in. So any other project, we're not proposing any disturbance, no grading changes, only what's inside our property.
Okay, and the drive coming in off of Jefferson is private, did you say, or is that?
Yeah, it's private. It won't be dedicated to the town.
So snow plowing will be arranged by the association of the 4 owners or the property owner or what?
Yep, yeah, it'll be the owner of the land. They'll figure out the schedule of the plowing. And then we have plenty of room along the sides of the road for snow storage.
Okay, and then one last thing, the cut and fill for the entire parcel, I assume is fairly neutral?
Yep, yeah, it's mainly just, like I said, the drainage follows the kind of the existing drainage. It goes south. And we just kind of add some swales to make sure that natural drainage pattern is maintained.
Okay,
Just a follow up on Bud's question about the private drive. Is that, I take it that's going to be in the agreement?
Yeah,
Is correct?
yep.
Maintenance of that as well?
Yep.
We'll make a note of that in our notes as well, that we recommend that. Who's up next? Let's see.
Let's,
Steve.
my question to Josh was just on that open parcel land as well, but that's already been answered, so.
Great. Robin, I see you reaching the microphone there.
Hi, Josh.
Hi.
So the property to the east of where you're building, they've had some major water issues. Now, I know that you're not really bringing any fill, so you're not necessarily raising the property that you're building on up higher and forcing all the water onto other properties. However, I have a concern, and you may have addressed it, I just didn't see it in the plans. At the end of this private drive, do you have some type of drainage ditch down there to absorb the water down underneath rather than letting it just sheet rock off the end of that drive?
It doesn't look like we're proposing anything in that area. It's just grading down. But we can definitely look into having something down there to alleviate some of the flooding issues.
Have you had any conversations with neighboring properties? Do you know?
Not to my knowledge. That's something that may come up during the planning board meeting, if the residents have voiced concerns. But as to my knowledge at this point, no, we have not contacted any of the neighboring residents in regards to the stormwater issues that they have been experiencing.
Okay. I don't know. Have you guys heard any other complaints with that property to the east? Do
I
you
have
remember?
heard water issues over there as well. I had a similar concern. That was my only concern
Yeah.
on the application, was that I do see we are raising the grade at the house, at the four houses,
So we're
roughly 2 to
forcing it
3
out.
feet each,
Yeah.
right? And now it's going to slope down towards those, the water's going to sheet into those yards. So we've had problems like that throughout the town. And this looks like,
It's gonna be another-
deja vu. So I would recommend, if it's okay with you, Robin, that we have some sort of stormwater control off of this subdivision.
Yeah.
I know it's not a SWIP, required, but the neighbors have had issues from what I've heard. So
Yes.
that's a good catch on your part. Thank
Good.
you.
Thank you. That's all I had, Josh. Thanks.
Thank you.
Who is nothing from North, what? Wait, I just fell off my chair.
I have a question.
Sarah.
Will we see the landscaping plan before? I mean, can we review it?
You can ask that it be emailed to us and we can send comments. If that is what typically it's 2 trees per acre. It's very limited on a residential plan. But I still think it's, if it's okay with Josh,
That and the
that
fee?
they send it to Chris Martin at the town and then, Chris usually shares it with us if we request it. So if we can add that to the notes if you like.
Yeah, that and the seed mixes, making sure there's a good seed mix, especially with the runoff on these rear properties.
Agreed. Good point. So HCB crust review. Anything else? All set? Yeah.
I'm all set.
Landscape. Okay, who's up? Richard.
Hi, Josh. Josh, I have a few comments. I'm going to start with the sanitary sewer. I just have a few comments about that. Substantial for this small project, about 822 lineal feet. of sewer. And I wanted to just ask, I did a little math on it. It appears there needs to be a lift station provided. I don't see the pitch requirement. I just wanted to ask you if you had plans for a lift station.
I mean, looking at the plan now, I'm proposing that 8-inch PVC sanitary. Just taking a look at all these inverts to make sure it's all. I mean, it looks to, at least on this plan, at least from what I'm seeing, we're meeting the slope minimum requirements for 8-inch PVC, which is the 0.4%. I'm just taking a look at the inverts real quick, and then flows to us.
Yeah. And I could be wrong on that, and that's maybe a little outside our scope here, but I just.
Yeah, the only thing I'm seeing here, it looks like there's an error in this drawing. I think this pipe here, it says it's 545.84, that should be 546.84. And then I think that, or let me double check. Yeah, well, we'll check the sanitary on this. Looks like there's some issues on some of the sloping. But yeah, because we had conducted some perk tests to see if there could be an option of septic system, but the soil in that area wouldn't allow it. So that's why we went with these the actual sanitary sewer to an existing manhole. It'd have to be outside the property though.
So that if I recall, that's tying, that's heading southeast, right, towards the adjacent subdivision, correct?
Yeah, it's heading down Jefferson and then
Yeah.
gonna be going down New Tudor Road.
It's right in the front yard of that first lot on Jefferson Estates is a
Yeah.
sewer manhole there.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So, and also with that sewer line, you had you had two trees dedicated to try to save in your subdivision on lot 1. And it just looks to me like there's a conflict, and it doesn't look like you can save those trees. It looks like the sewer line's sneaking right close between both of them. So I just wanted to make that comment. If there were other trees that you could be earmarked to save, something to look at.
Yeah, taking a look at it now, it looks like it'll impact those trees. Yeah, we could definitely take a look to see if there's any other areas on the site that we can make sure that maybe we can save some more trees if those will have to go. I think our note here said if the site conditions allow, we would protect it, but yeah, just looking at the sanitary alignment, I think it's going to impact, especially when you're, making the trench. It's gonna impact those trees. So we'll definitely look into saving additional trees on the site.
Okay, thank you. Another comment, the entrance to Jefferson Road off the private drive, it's really close to the west property line, and that west property line, from what I saw, even today, is heavily treed. I think there's in order to get adequate view pulling out, I think you're gonna need to go into adjacent property and do some trimming.
For the site distance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made note of that, and we'll look more into the site distance at the entrance to make sure, if we do have to make some adjustments, making sure to address those.
Okay. My next comment is right in that same area. You have most of the silt fence, I feel, done properly. I just wanted to ask if you would consider adding a silt fence right up along the west side of the construction entrance, say 100 feet to the south. It's a slight grade to the adjoining property, and with that road and all that road work being so close, I just feel it would be good to have that silt fence up there.
Yes, I agree.
Which corner was it, Richard? Sorry.
It's right up by the construction entrance
Okay.
Right around this area.
to the west.
Yeah.
It's very slight grade, but it does pitch towards that neighboring property, just that
Yep.
30 feet.
Yep.
And the last comment I have is lot number 127 on the Jefferson Estates property, on the east property. You can see there's a round stone planter with bushes and small trees. And it looks like a percentage of that is on the York property,
Mhm.
according to the site plan.
Yes.
I just want to know if you guys have addressed that with the neighbor or what your plans would be.
I believe our disturbance isn't going to impact that planter. I mean, I'll take a closer look at it. But I don't think we're proposing significant grading in that area. But we'll definitely work with the homeowner to make sure that their existing, I think believe it's stone walls, small trees and bushes. Working with the homeowner to make sure that it's not disturbed and that they're happy with at least the distance we have between our development and their structure here.
Okay, that's it for me. Thanks, Josh.
I'm taking notes still on that. Jason. Okay, great. Yeah, I went through, I think I indicated my comments. We got through everybody here. I had the stormwater comment like Robin. There's a lot of good comments here. So if there's nothing else from anybody, I will read what I have.
Bill, I'll just, one
Oh,
additional thing.
Bud, go ahead. Yeah.
Just for clarification, you are planning on trying to preserve as much of the tree line along the periphery of the parcel, are you not?
Yes, that's the intention, to maintain it as much as possible. So we're reducing our grading impact and disturbance impact to try and keep as many trees as possible.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, great. So I will read these, what I have. The applicant stated the following: it's a 4-unit subdivision. They're trying to protect some of the trees to use as buffering. It will be a private drive. No SWIP was required because they're less than the DEC requirements. There is no landscaping plan available yet, but they were planning on 8 trees per acre, and will submit the landscaping plan to the town. And then they indicated that they had 74% green space. We had the following comments. We recommend, our standard is 2 trees per lot, which is the Henrietta standard, Henrietta Conservation Board standard. We recommend that the private drive agreements for maintenance be placed in the deeds. We recommend stormwater control due to neighboring stormwater issues. The HCD is concerned that flooding will occur due to the development. HCD would request review of the landscaping plan for trees and grasses. The HCB recommends saving and protecting existing trees as much as possible. We also recommend reviewing the site distances at the entrance due to overgrown plants. We recommend making adjustments for the silt fence at the entrance, and also to review an instance of a planter from an adjacent property that is actually on, part of it is on this property. Partially this property. Are there any other comments that we'd like to add into the minutes tonight? Yep, the private drive. Let's see if we get that. We recommend that the private drive agreements for maintenance be placed in the deeds. Sorry, that we recommend that the private drive agreements for maintenance be placed in the deed. Oh, drainage, sorry. Yes, we recommend a stormwater control system due to neighboring stormwater issues. HCB is concerned that flooding will occur due to the development. Like to add something, revise something to that? Yeah. Right.
Phil, I'm sorry to interrupt. We can't hear on our end what's being said.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
So, I mean, I don't know if this is something.
Your
they need-
concern was the end of the roadway,
Yeah,
and mine was along the entire perimeter, because
Yeah.
it's sheeting down into their yards.
right. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm wondering if an actual drainage type system could be put at the end of the private drive,
Right.
or even drainage systems at the end of each driveway, although the driveways look to be a little bit lower than the road, so I'm not really sure that the driveways are going to sheet, but
Right.
I just think it's going to come down Jefferson,
Yeah.
straight down, and I mean, it's not going to affect the ones to the east, but it'll certainly affect the ones to the south, even though there
Yeah.
is a fairly large wooded area.
Yeah.
I mean, they're definitely changing drainage patterns.
They are, yeah. And I think if we leave it generic enough that we're concerned about the drainage, offsite, because, I don't want to engineer it here, tonight, but
Right.
I think we could add something that we're concerned about, specifically these two items, if you're,
Yep,
Okay.
yep.
why don't I do that? So I'll add, specifically, our concerns are with the roadway and yard drainage. To the neighboring subdivision. To the adjacent subdivision. And, when I get this back, I may. But basically, we're concerned, we're changing the pattern here, and we don't want all of a sudden them to have worse problems than what they have now, right? So,
Correct.
Yeah, I get it. So I'll add that to the bottom of that last note. And go from there. And then you'll see it, we'll send the minutes around and we can change it. So anything else? Anyone else want to, something reread or added? Yeah, it was very good. I do need a motion for this.
I'll make a motion.
Robin, and a second. Anybody? Richard, thank you. If there's no other discussion, I assume that was recommend to approve, Robin and Richard.
Correct.
Thank you. If there's no other discussion, then all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, the motion is carried. Thank you, Josh.
Still got one more for me. I'm presenting the next one too, so I
There
believe.
you go. Awesome. All right, so that being said, Next item on the agenda is application number 21-006, Lehigh Mixed Use Development Apartments for review of the final site plan of a plus or minus 352 unit complex with apartments and townhomes on 57 plus acres located at 84 Lehigh Station Road in an industrial zoned district with a mixed use overlay. And I assume, are you here presenting that tonight, Josh?
Yep, I am.
Great.
So as stated, the parcel is 57 point, around 57.5 acres. We have about 30.7 acres are disturbed on the site. Located basically right in the corner of East River Road and Lehigh Station Road. It's kind of going through the site. The proposed entrance will be along Lehigh Station Road. This other kind of entrance here is a fire access lane. So that'll be
Excuse me,
gated.
Josh, could you share your screen, please?
Yeah, I think you have to stop sharing that other file
Okay,
and then,
yes.
then you'll click on that. And now you can share the new one.
Is that better?
Yeah,
You
thank
got
you.
it.
Yeah, sorry, it's right on my screen. Yeah. So I guess just kind of recapping what I just said. Site's located on the intersection of East River Road and Lehigh Station Road. We have one proposed entrance shown along Lehigh Station Road. This other entrance, like I said, was fire access. It will be gated, so it's only going to be able to be used during a fire scenario on the site. As far as the site goes, we're proposing 12 10-unit townhomes. Those are the smaller buildings shown along the roads here, and then 4 larger apartment buildings. Each of these apartments will have 58 units, adding up to the total of 352 units for the whole site. And this last building is a proposed clubhouse. It'll also have pool and other amenities for the site to serve the residents. So this is an interesting parcel because it's zoned in a kind of unique zone. It has a mixed use overlay district, and with that requires other additions and other requirements, not only shown in the or presented in the existing zoning, but just additional requirements that are needed. One of those big requirements is a need of civic space, and you can see kind of these green hatched areas. Those are proposed to be passive recreation areas, as well as, it's kind of dark, but you can see there's a trail system that will traverse the whole property. And that, in addition to the passive recreation space, has us meet those percentage requirements for the civic space. On one of the sheets, we have a detail of what the trail will look like, but it's proposed to be an 8-foot trail with vegetation along the side. There's an asphalt trail that's kind of this darker one that goes along the western side of the property. And then there'll be a stone dust trail in the other areas throughout the property. For utilities, proposed water is going to be off of Lehigh Station Road that will serve the whole property. Sanitary is an interesting one. We're actually proposing a dedicated sanitary main through the site. Located next to these apartments, there's a proposed pump station, public pump station that will have a force main that will go to the north and will meet up with a existing sanitary easement that the town has along the northern part of the property. The force main will continue along the northern property line and cross East River Road, and will actually connect to a existing manhole that's located on the lodge property. And that's been coordinated with the lodge property, and inverts and the connections are all set for the sanitary. As for storm water, the proposed road will have gutters that will collect stormwater runoff. That runoff will be collected and transported to a variety of places on the site. But first will be to either bioretention areas that we're proposing. These bioretention areas And we'll have vegetation and a wet seed mix that will meet the DEC standards. And there will be proposed under drain in these bioretention areas that will collect the water that filters through this media. And the purpose of these bioretention areas is to treat the stormwater and to meet the DEC requirements. After being treated, the water will be discharged to a larger stormwater management area that has a deep pool. That deep pool will treat the rest of the water quality volume required for the site. And there's a proposed outlet control structure and overflow weir that will discharge the stormwater on site at a controlled rate. That also meets the 20% reduction requirements set forth by Henrietta. And that's achieved through the outlet structure and the overflow weir. Couple other site characteristics. There's also sidewalk throughout the site that will connect residents to the clubhouse, as well as all around the site to the passive recreation areas. Parking requirements. We require 880 spots per code. We have 880 shown on the plan. As you've probably seen, there's a large land banked area to the north that we are showing. They are proposed to be land banked in case in the future it is needed. But in general, without those land banked, it's what's shown in the around the site, kind of some side parking areas around the townhomes, as well as sufficient parking for the apartment units shown here.
Could you run through those numbers again, please?
Yeah, it was 880 required, and we show exactly 880 with a portion of those spots being land banked.
Gotcha. How many are land banked?
Does it say? Might say. One second, let me zoom in. 267 land banked spots.
267, you said?
Yep.
Okay.
Some other site characteristics. As you can see to the north and to the northwest, there is significant wetlands, federal wetlands on the site, as well as a floodplain. So we're not proposing any disturbance to any of the wetlands on site. As for the floodplain, we are proposing the trail system to traverse through the floodplain, but we are not proposing any fill in the floodplain. So that won't trigger any issues with water elevations. And there is also a creek that runs along the property, kind of along the northern portion. And we have some pedestrian bridges that will be used to cross the creek for all of the trails that are proposed throughout the property. Lighting and landscaping. Just got to scroll down to it. Kind of cutting the sheets here, but so we have a landscaping shown and lighting contours shown throughout the site. Proposed lights are 16-foot residential, dark sky compliant, and won't have a lot of light bleed that will go towards the neighboring properties. And we show a variety of trees on the site along pathways and in areas. One thing that wasn't included was blow-ups of some of the foundation plantings and mulch bed limits of the apartment buildings as well as the townhomes. That's something that will be included on the next submission. And we're also showing the plantings inside the bioretention area, as well as some trees around those areas to create a kind of a vegetative buffer and a healthy ecosystem for the bioretention areas to thrive. So we also have our standard landscaping notes, our watering plan. And I know that we are proposing 163 trees, 243 is required per the 8 acres per disturbance. We are, interested in adding more trees to the site, try and find a home for more trees. But if we can't meet that requirement, we are willing to donate to the tree bank of Henrietta to meet that requirement.
Run the quantities by, was it 243 was required?
Yeah, 243 trees were required and 163 are shown on the plan. And like I said, we're willing to add more or change species And that can be addressed in the next submission of the project. And we have our plan schedule shown here. So I think that was it, and I'm willing to answer any questions the board has for this project.
So who wants to go first?
Take it again.
Bud, yeah.
I'm closer over here.
Yep.
Josh, a couple of things. First of all, I love the trails. Particularly like the asphalt trail that leads out onto East River Road. And I know that'll connect with a lot of others that are being done between there and RIT ultimately. Again, the cut and fill on this, the parcel is a beautiful one. I took pictures from several different areas. But is the cut and fill, the way you're doing it, going to be fairly balanced?
Yeah, this is definitely a challenging site to grade. If you've been in that area, you know how drastic the grade change is. But yes, the cut fill does work. It requires, definitely some major modifications to the existing grade, but where this apartment area is, we're filling a decent amount. Just it has to be relatively flat, given the parking lot area and the buildings. Having to fill that, we're cutting out in certain areas. So we definitely made sure that the site is going to balance, and we won't need excessive. We won't have excessive cut on the site.
You have a lot to work with there.
Yeah.
4-story buildings are at obviously the lower portion of the parcel.
Mhm.
And all the 2-story are on the upper elevations, basically, right?
Yeah. It'll also generally how the site grades. It'll grade down this road. I don't know if you can see my mouse, but it'll grade towards the ground, down towards the north, and then this will kind of be the lowest part of the site, at least the developed portion. Obviously, the bioretention areas in the pond will be the lowest portion of the site, so that we have adequate drainage. These 4 buildings here, though, this gets up pretty steep as you go up, so this will actually grade up from this intersection, kind of around where the clubhouse is, out to the west. So the townhomes were placed in their finished floors were selected mainly based on the existing grade, but also the need of around the site for cut fill. So
Be very imposing view coming down East River Road, coming down the hill to see those buildings standing up there. But they will be set back a bit, so that hopefully that'll be shielded a little bit.
yeah, we also meet the the setback requirements, but there's also buffer requirements in Henrietta based on the adjacent uses.
Right.
And one of the main ones was this house here. So we needed at least 100 feet away from that property line. And other than that, we have significant distance between our development and East River Road, as well as Lehigh Station Road.
Okay. I like the land-based parking on the entry road there, what you call it, the fire road or the emergency road, whatever, but a good use of that. And I'm glad it land banked rather than asphalt.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Bud. Just jumping on, follow up of one of the Bud's questions. What's the view shed going to be like for the house on Lehigh there at the corner of Erie?
Yes. So the house is located pretty much at the high point. I don't know if you've been to this intersection, but it's a very steep drop off. It's very, very short drop off. It's kind of going on a roller coaster down this road in this area. So this house is kind of located on the high point. So it's not like these buildings are going to be towering over this house. If anything, they're going to be kind of looking down on some of these buildings based on the grade changes. So they won't be the view. They'll be able to see it, but it won't be completely impacting their northern view from their property.
Will the Lehigh house be able to see the city yet, or what's the height of those 4-story buildings versus the height of the hill?
Yeah, so actually the height of these, they won't get over the crest of this hill. So as you get to the top here, it'll be the top of these buildings will actually be lower than the highest point on Lehigh Station Road. So they won't be, towering over, so you won't be able to look to the north. They're situated relatively low so that it wouldn't impact that viewpoint.
Got it. Thank you. Who would like to go next? Noreen, please.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Josh, to me, this is one of the really special spots in Henrietta. I kind of hate to see it go for this, but I know that's not our purview. But I have a bunch of questions. Is there any permeable pavement, geothermal, any solar panels, anything like that going in?
Not that I know. I can look into that, but I do not know at this time if those are being implemented.
Could you say that again? I didn't hear you.
Sorry. Yeah, at this time, I don't know if those are being implemented, but I can look into it.
Okay. And then I'm wondering what this cultural resource area is.
Oh, to the, yeah, that was addressed. This parcel was actually proposed to be developed 2017, I believe. And then it kind of fell to the wayside for a bit, and now it's coming back. That was when we were conducting investigation with SHPO for basically historical. I think it's a historical area that is proposed to not to be disturbed. So that's why we kind of had to avoid that area. I can look more into it, but I believe that's the kind of the gist of that that kind of polygonal shape shown on the site.
This is Supervisor Steve Schultz. Yeah, that spot was identified by SHPO as having potentially, cultural artifacts. So I don't know whether that was early farmers or indigenous people, but it was identified, and so they've kept that set aside.
Okay, thank you.
One other comment too, in terms of the trails, we are going to be bringing the sidewalk, the East River Road sidewalk, south to essentially Eagle View. And when you go beyond that, between wetlands and terrain, we couldn't carry it. So as part of that, the developers did agree to bring that asphalt, that East River Road sidewalk through their development and in. So you can see on, well, not what he's showing currently, but you can see where it comes over to across from Fairwood. There's a sidewalk there, but there's also a sidewalk a little further to the south at the traffic light. That's where we're going to end the sidewalk, so that if somebody wants to cross with the benefit of a controlled intersection, they'll be able to do so. Similarly, when the intersection with Lehigh Station Road, you will see to the west, there's that entrance to the Riverwood Tech Campus. The Riverwood Tech Campus has committed to removing that entrance and essentially bringing Lehigh Station Road straight across, so it's a 4-way intersection. At that time, they'll be making intersection improvements, and one of those will be the addition of a crosswalk. It's most likely that will crosswalk to the south side of Lehigh Station Road, and then the cross over to Riverwood Tech Campus would happen on the south leg of the 4-way intersection.
Great. Sounds good. I was wondering about those two roads connecting as well. So it's always very weird offset there. But the two light, when there used to be a light there were two lights right next to each other. Noreen, you all set?
No,
Mm,
believe it or not, I have a couple more things I
Go
want
on.
to talk about.
still
Well,
on.
I feel like like you said, the landscaping plan is not finished. There are, as you said, not enough trees and there's no landscaping around the building, so I definitely would like to see that. And there are some notes on here like proposed tree line and existing tree line, which is kind of unclear. And I wonder, that land bank parking area seems like a giant area is that just going to be lawn, like mowed grass, or is that going to be just left undisturbed as a land bank? What's going to happen with that?
Yeah, it'll have to be disturbed to be buildable to put parking. That's the point of the land bank parking, is to have that area available if in case developer needed additional parking, and to meet the code, that area to be kind of devoted to parking. So
But it's not paved initially,
yeah, it won't be paved. It's just an area devoted in the future if the parking is needed.
okay. I feel like there's going to be an awful lot of water going down into those wetlands, and I know you've got those mitigation areas. The planting is really simplistic, and a lot of other plans you've put forth before have had a big mix of plants, and you've got a very small mix of plants here, and I was wondering if that could be changed to get some biodiversity in there. I think you've got 959 of one type of grass, and then yellow twig and red twig dogwoods, and that's it for those bioretention areas.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
we're disturbing a pretty big area where wildlife has been sort of sequestered, it would be nice if we could put things in that would benefit them, some plants that have berries and seeds and nuts and that sort of thing, at least to give them some chance of survival.
Yep,
And
I definitely.
you said I'm sorry, I'm just talking over you, Josh.
No, it's fine. It's all good stuff.
The areas along the creek beds are great places for more shrubs and trees so that to stop erosion happening over there. So that would be like the number one area I would think you'd want to find for more trees.
Yeah, it'll be doable in some areas. I know planting some trees in the floodplain might cause some concern. But yeah, definitely adding some additional trees will definitely be in for the next submission after the first round of town commons.
Okay. Even when you look at this, it's unusual that there's, one tree here and one tree here. Usually there's 5 or 6 trees in an area like that with previous plans you've had. So I would definitely like to see the next set of plans. I believe that's all I've got. Thank you.
Great. Robin?
Hi, Josh. On the trails that you have, it was hard for me to tell, and forgive me if I missed it. I just want to make sure that you have things at each end of the trail to prevent motorized vehicles from accessing the trails.
Yeah, I don't think those were added on this submission. There's something that I remembered later on, but definitely having something at the end, especially on the asphalt trail, to deter motorized vehicles is definitely something we'll add. If that's a kind of a removable bollard or a gate, we'll definitely look to add that to the plans.
Perfect. Then I have one other question. So on the 3 or 4 story building section, there's these garage bays. And given the slope, I'm guessing we're going to be looking at the back of these garage bays as you come into the property. You're going to be able to see them at certain portions. What does the back side of these garage bays look like?
I didn't have any elevations of those garage bays. I know given looking at the grading plan that this actually grades down and there's kind of some yard drains all along here. So I do believe that, these bays will be hidden, at least if you're driving along Lehigh Station Road, looking in,
Then what about the top of the bays? I just, a garage is an ugly thing to begin with. And it doesn't look like there's any plantings or anything back in that area. I'm just wondering, and then the properties, the buildings that you're building in front of those garage bays, even though they're higher, I'm assuming there's a back doors or maybe mini patios out there that they're going to be sitting. I mean, you know where I'm headed?
Yeah, I know you're heading. We can look into maybe landscaping and buffering the back of the garage bays and along the sides, so that the residents won't have to look onto the back side of the garage. And then definitely look into providing some elevations of what those garages will look like, the roofs and the siding, so that the town can review and, approve and look into seeing if they need any additional landscaping there to mask some of the siding.
Okay. That's all I had. Thank you.
All right, great. Steve?
Hi, Josh. My question is, or more just a sort of an observation. So the entrance and exit is to Lehigh Station,
Yes.
sort of like two entrances. I was just wondering if there was any concern about any congestion or density in that area. And I know there's two buildings there that are really close to Lehigh Station. I didn't know if there was any traffic concerns with the amount of cars that'll come in and out.
Yeah, so there was a traffic study conducted for this site. It was recently approved by the town third-party reviewer as well as the county. A part of that study is including a pass-through lane along the entrance that will, create a safer intersection so that, especially, in this area where there's, some significant grade change in the road, the pass-through shoulder will definitely help with the safety of the intersection. But as far as sight distance goes, there was enough sight distance at the intersection, meeting the DOT requirements. And there's stop signs and other safety measures included that will make sure that the entrance won't cause any impacts to the site.
Thanks, Steve. Let's see who wants to go next. Sarah?
I gotta get up my list. Hang on. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
So there is some serious grade change on the site, and I noticed you guys were using jute mesh in certain areas. But I didn't, and I was trying to look at your notes with regards to seed mixes, but I would want to recommend seeing the areas where you're proposing to use steep slope mixes versus traditional lawn, because it's a significant area of steep slopes. I also had consider adding more trees, natural around the existing farmhouse. It seemed kind of odd just having some of these trees plopped down. Usually you guys do groupings, and I was wondering if we could see maybe a little more of that, having those groupings with mixtures of evergreens and kind of in a natural layout. Some areas on the site, I know what you guys are doing in terms of the linear look between the buildings, but maybe the buffering of that existing farmhouse. Because I have a feeling, this is a unique area of Henrietta, and this is a big development going in. And just looking at utility and tree conflicts, I know you guys always do, but just double check the utility conflicts with tree plantings, proposed tree plantings. And if you can shift the trees versus removing them, that's ideal.
Yep.
And then I had something similar to Noreen, increasing the diversity of wetland and bioretention area plantings. I did notice, or I thought I noticed, you had yellow twig dogwood under your tree plantings. I think that one needs to be shifted more towards shrubs.
Okay.
That's just minor detail. And that's all I had.
Could you run that by me one more time? Sorry, that last one.
Oh, they have yellow twig dogwood in the plant schedule underneath trees.
Okay.
And
It's more of a shrub.
It's more of a shrub. I don't know, Noreen, you can confirm that variety, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yellow twig.
Yellow twig dogwood.
Gotcha. I think I got all your notes here. Hold on. Geometry buffering from variances. Yes. Got 'em. I think we went through, no, Richard, got anything tonight?
Hi, Josh, I just have one comment here. I think these plans were done really well. My only comment is a note added and possibly the erosion and sediment control notes. Or maybe there's a better place for it about dust control during construction.
Yeah, we can add that to the grading and erosion control plan,
Okay,
if it's not there already.
that's it for me.
That was just dust control, right, Richard? The grading, the erosion, they had
Yep.
everything on there that you expect. Okay, great. Noreen, you had one more item.
Yeah, I have one more question. I'm looking here by building 8 and what you said was a pump station. There's a little federal wetlands area right
Mhm.
there, and I can't picture what that would look like. And can you tell me what constitutes a federal wetlands area?
So these wetlands are actually delineated, and I can look into the report, for what that area is. But it's mainly done by a third party that, goes out to the site and kind of delineates and stakes out areas that they deem federal wetlanded. And, then we survey those and throw them on the plans and is in our base mapping. So I can look into what that is, but it's generally, the vegetation in the area, the water content in the area. And I'm not a wetland delineationist, but I can look into the report if you want more detail.
Yeah, I'm just trying to picture what, is that going to be lawn and then all of a sudden it's just not mowed and it's just left as is? And, how big is that space? And also I find it odd that it would be broken up between the one above that near the land bank parking area and that tiny little spot over there. It seems kind of, wouldn't that all be contiguous if it's
Yeah.
area? But, I don't know the answer to that. So just wanted to ask.
Yep.
Anyone else? Well, let's see. I had a few items. I did have the Viewshed question, which I asked earlier. I had the tree question, the quantity of trees, which I think we've covered so far. We don't quite meet it. And then you did respond to, or you did state that the lighting is dark sky compliant. The fixtures do not look like they are, but maybe the illuminators at the top of the housing, is that the case? And it's just shining down?
Yeah, I believe that's the intention of the detail, and I can double check and make sure that they are dark sky compliant. I believe that they were called out to be.
Okay.
But if not, we can adjust that detail to make sure that the residential lights are.
Yeah, do you want me to put that down as a note?
Yeah.
Just confirm it?
Confirming dark sky compliance of lights.
Okay, we can do that. Confirm dark sky. Lights. Okay. Yeah, please do hop right in, bud.
Josh, I live a little further east on Lehigh Station Road. I'm wondering, I'm figuring you're looking at 500 or 600 cars that are going to be pulling in and out of the main entrance here on the Lehigh Station. Have you done, was there any kind of a traffic study done as to what the effect is in this whole quadrant down here with the additional vehicles?
Yep. Yes, there was an approved traffic study. As I stated, there are some mitigation efforts, including that pass-through lane. That was approved by the town's third-party reviewer as well as the DOT, Monroe County DOT.
Gotcha. Okay. We have additional development going around this whole area. Not sure how much it'll take, how long it takes to get out on Lehigh Station now.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Great. So any other comments or questions from anybody? If not, I will read through what was stated and look for a motion in a second later. So we can write this up first. So I had the applicant stated the following. It's 30.7 acres of disturbed surfaces out of a total of 57 acres on the site. There's 352 units and a clubhouse. Mixed use has additional requirements that come with it, such as trails and recreation spaces and other civic space requirements. There's a force main sanitary pump station system being planned that will tie into, across the street on East River. The stormwater system runs from roadway gutters to through bioretention areas, is cleaned and then headed to storm ponds, and then heads off site at a 20% rate reduction versus the existing rate, which is per our town standards. There's 880 parking spots that would be required, but 267 will be land banked in this application. There are no disturbances to the adjacent wetlands, and there are no modifications to the floodplain line. Lights are dark sky compliant. The landscaping plan is included. However, there are 160 trees shown so far with 243 that are required, and the applicant will donate to the town tree bank, but would prefer to add the trees on site. And they will continue to work on the design towards that. Is included. Oh, is incomplete, that they said is incomplete. I had that as a note for us, that it's incomplete, but I guess, Josh, did you say it was incomplete?
Yeah, there was definitely some modifications needed, and then also including the blow-ups of those townhomes and the apartment areas for mulch bed limits, foundation plantings, and other plantings that are going to be around. We'll include that in the next submission to the town.
Yep.
So I have a quick question. When a developer comes through, and do they get to choose whether they do the 8 trees per acre versus donating to the tree bank?
We prefer them to be on site because, you know, that's the site that's being, but, you know, we're conservation board. We make recommendations to the planning board. So if it were the case that something didn't work out and they, you know, we're just trying to get at least something out of it versus nothing.
Could we say we recommend, I mean, I personally would like to see the trees be planted on site versus them.
That's one of the notes I have here.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah. Thank you, Sarah. Let's see. I had cut and fill is balanced with excessive work. Regarding the view shed, the tops of the 4-story buildings will be lower than the hill on Lehigh Station. Is that correct, Josh? Did I say?
Yeah. I would say that the highest point was Lehigh Station Road along the crest of the road.
Yes. Okay. Crest. I'll rewrite it. So I'll say the crest of Lehigh Station. The crest. That'll make more sense. Let's see. You indicated that SHPO identified a portion of the property as formerly having indigenous activities, and that has been demarked. You also indicated that a traffic study was causing additional lane work and intersection work, and also I had Supervisor Schultz describe the proposed sidewalk work and connections, as well as the additional traffic improvements in the area. Yeah, I had for our comments, the Henrietta Conservation Board recommends to the planning board. The landscaping plan is unfinished. We recommend adding wildlife plantings due to the animals present on site. We recommend adding more trees on site to meet the 8 trees per acre. There appears to be enough room on the site to do so. The HCB would like to review the final landscaping plans. We recommend vehicle barricades for the trails. We recommend plantings to buffer the view of the garage bays from the residences. We recommend identifying the steep slope grass mixes versus the lawn mixes. Did I say that? Is that
Yep.
good enough, Sarah?
Yep.
Okay, cool. We recommend adding trees for buffering of the adjacent farmhouses. We recommend checking the utility conflicts with the tree plantings and their locations. We also would like to recommend increasing the diversity of the bioretention areas. We noticed that the yellow twig dogwood is actually a shrub and not a tree, so that should be adjusted in the tree counts. We recommended adding dust control notes to the plans, and we were just wanted confirmation that the lights are dark sky compliant. Did I miss anything?
I would just say under the yellow twig dogwood that we just want to adjust in the plant schedule. I think it may be confusing to some if they look at it and see, you know.
That it's a shrub,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
See a quantity of 223.
So yellow twig dogwood is actually a shrub, not a tree. Please adjust.
Please, yeah,
Please
revise. the
revise planting schedule.
planting schedule, yeah,
Please.
accordingly.
Yeah, revise. Yeah. That finishes that thought. I agree. Accordingly. Very good. Anything else? Well, those are our comments that we've collected and would need a motion for that, please.
I move that the HCB approve Lehigh Station and East River apartment project.
Thank you, Bud. Is there a second? These are, that is one of our comments. So we are approving it with these. There, these are, yeah, there's comments. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Very good. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the notes and motions, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Abstains, abstentions, sorry. Hearing none, the motion has passed. Thank you, Josh. You're not here for the third one, are you?
I'm not.
Have a good night.
Yep, you too.
Coming in tonight.
Yep. Have a good night, everyone.
Great.
You too.
See you.
Yeah.
Next up is application number 21-007, Marketplace Senior Apartments for review of the final site plan.
Sorry.
For a plus or minus 150 unit senior apartment community on roughly 3 acres located at 1100 Miracle Mile Drive in a commercial B1 zone district with mixed use redevelopment overlay. And tonight, who do we have with us?
Good evening. It's Ryan Destro at BME Associates. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, Ryan, thank you for coming in.
Great, thank you. Also here with me tonight is Ryan Brandt from Rochester Cornerstone Group, representing the applicant. For the Marketplace Senior Apartments project, as you mentioned, the proposal is for a 4-story. It's approximately 155,000 square feet with 150 units. It's a residential apartment senior housing structure with an overall building height of less than 50 feet. And it's part of a mixed-use development area at the Marketplace Mall. Recently, two special use permits were granted by the town board for this project on March 24th. The first special permit granted allows a mixed-use development at Marketplace Mall within the mixed-use redevelopment area, MURA, the overlay district. And the second special use permit allows for the Marketplace Senior Apartments project itself, and specifically the senior housing component. This project is on a proposed 3-acre lease parcel area within the Marketplace Mall existing parcel. It's located to the west of the existing Sportsman's Warehouse, south of Miracle Mile Drive. It's located to the east of Red Creek, and it's in the former location of the Marketplace Mall movie theater. And the project site is currently a vacant paved parking area, which you can see underneath our site plan layout on this aerial shown. Some site amenities include on-site parking spaces, concrete sidewalks for pedestrian circulation are provided both on-site, as well as a new sidewalk connection to the existing Marketplace Mall sidewalk system to the east. And that connection, if you can see my cursor, will be off of the northeastern corner to the east, and then there will be a crosswalk roughly in the middle of the parking area between the proposed development and the Sportsman's Warehouse, and then it would join the existing Marketplace Mall sidewalk system that traverses north and then ultimately to the Dick's store frontage. Also, we have proposed new landscaping and new lawn areas will be introduced on site, consisting of native trees, shrubs and perennials and grasses. And we are also proposing new site lighting, more specific to the actual site plan area. So the lighting poles will be at a reduced height from the remainder of the Marketplace Mall parking area. Those lights, I believe, are 40 or 50 feet tall. The lights we're proposing on site will have a reduced height, more appropriate for this use at a height of 25 feet high. Also provided an aerial apparatus, fire access road is provided on both the north side of the project via the existing Miracle Mile Drive, and then also on the east side of the proposed structure via the existing paved parking lot drive aisle. With regards to the site utilities, both public sanitary sewer and public water mains exist on site for connection. As I said, the site was previously a movie theater, so the existing infrastructure is in place for this project. Since the site was previously developed, the design guidelines, the design follows the DEC stormwater management design guidelines for redevelopment areas. This project will reduce the impervious area and increase the green space area from the existing paved condition. Approximately 2.7 acres of impervious are currently there under the existing conditions. And under the post-development condition, we're proposing 1.9 acres of impervious area. So that's a reduction of approximately 0.8 of an acre of impervious area. As such, the water quantity and also the water quality requirements of the Speedy's general permit are met by reducing the impervious area by over 25% on the site. Therefore, a post-construction stormwater management facility is not required with this development. The existing on-site drainage patterns, which convey runoff west towards Red Creek, will be maintained as part of the proposed development. We are, as part of this, we're actually pulling back and providing an additional green buffer area from the existing paved parking area on site. The first floor elevation for the structure has been set 2 feet above the floodplain located on site associated with Red Creek. This is similar to the Sportsman's Warehouse to the east, and also the primary mall structure as well. We did submit a project SWIP book that's been prepared and submitted to the town as part of this application for approval. We have already received a few minor comments from the town engineer, and we are currently addressing them. We don't see any issues with the comments and addressing them. One of the things we'd like to point out about this project, and one of the nice things, is that this project is introducing a senior housing component that will benefit the town of Henrietta, but it will also help promote the long-term viability of the Marketplace Mall as part of this mixed-use development area. Ryan Brandt, as I said, is also online to address any questions regarding the building itself. But at this point, we're certainly happy to answer any of the board's questions.
Thank you, Ryan and Ryan. Who would like to ask questions first? But I'm looking at you.
We'll let Bud go first.
Bud.
All right. Ryan, did I understand you say that the area between basically the pavement and the Red Creek itself, you're going to do some additional maintaining? In other words, that'll also be green space that will be maintained, mowed and the like?
Yes. If you can see this aerial where the cursor is, this is the existing parking or paved limits. And the proposed paved limits represent this drive aisle and parking spaces where my cursor is moving. So all of this existing pavement along the Red Creek buffer will be removed to create an additional buffer space.
Okay, that's good. That's all I like to hear. Go ahead.
I just have a really quick question in terms of the congestion on Miracle Mile Drive with the construction in the next 1 or 2 years for your project. And then of course you have orthopedics being built in the Sears. I was just wondering if there was any concerns about the traffic in and out of that Miracle Mile Drive.
That's at the time of construction, when this project does start, we will coordinate with the town as well as Marketplace Mall to propose a traffic plan to coordinate between the two projects as necessary. We believe the Sears URMC project obviously is going to precede the Marketplace Senior Apartments project. But since, like you mentioned, they are both on the same site within the Marketplace Mall property. Prior to this project starting, we will coordinate with the other projects and with Marketplace Mall, the ownership Wilmerite as well, regarding the traffic.
And one thing I was going to add to this is Ryan Brandt from Cornerstone. Good evening, everyone. So I think the one benefit here is the heavy duty trucking, bringing to and from asphalt or importing, exporting soil. We'll be missing each other, right, by a year or so, and we're hoping to start possibly this fall, right? Just obviously depending on approvals and financing and everything else, but there likely will be some overlap in construction, but it'll be different stages though, right? So I think our primary egress point is going to be off Miracle Mile to West Henrietta Road too. So I think we'll definitely be coordinating with them. It is a ground lease parcel from the mall ownership group. So there's just by nature of that too, there's going to be a lot of coordination already required with us and the surrounding users.
Thank you.
So this is Supervisor Schultz chiming in on this. We've looked at this. We've had discussions with the New York State DOT and the Monroe County DOT. None of them are concerned because, again, this site was built for capacity that far exceeds where it's at today. If you remember in the 80s, every one of those parking spaces was full around Christmas time. So the town, county, and state all agreed that there are sufficient egress points onto major roads. There will obviously be some coordination involved, but no one was concerned about potential issues in that regards. And in addition, both locations have a good staging area. So, the URMC one especially is that whole southeast quadrant, but it does not address, or it does not extend onto Miracle Mile Drive. If you've seen the fencing, it's all inside Miracle Mile. So we really, again, both the town, county, and state all agreed that should not be an issue.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Noreen.
Hi, Ryan and Ryan. I absolutely love this planting plan. And well, my question is, who is going to take care of it in the long run? Because it's a spectacular plan and, with proper care will last for years and years.
Right. Yeah. This is Ryan Brandt. So we'll bid it out through the construction process, and we typically have the same company that's going to do the installation is going to do the maintenance and upkeep. Well, two separate contracts, obviously, but just typically, it works a lot better that way, right? Just a little bit of continuity between the two stages of the project. So yeah, we would, our Cornerstone property managers our company is just located across over in Brighton, across from MCCs. We're very local, and we have our own management company as well. It'll be managing and overseeing it, but we typically have a budget line item for maintaining and making sure that it's the quality of the plantings that are installed at construction are going to be maintained throughout the life of the project.
Great. And is there any geothermal or solar, anything like that going into this project?
Not at the present time. We have been. Yeah. Oh, go ahead, Steve.
No, that was, go ahead, Ryan. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So, not at the present time. We've been kind of talking with the solar consultants a little bit. We understand if we did want to implement any solar aspect of this site, we'd have to kind of come back through, I believe, through the whole process again. So I'm not sure we would necessarily do that. It is a flat roofed building though, so it may lend itself to solar panels, and so we are having worked with a consultant to work through it, but it's not currently part of our proposed project. But the one thing it looks like I think we are going to try and pursue is a completely electrified building. So using heat pumps as the heating system, having also the domestic hot water being heated by an electric system, which is something that I think there's one specific specs product that's being used more. And anyways, there's a lot of clean heat incentive money out there through NYSERDA and other resources. So I think it's something we've been working again with our design team, and this completely electric, no gas to the building. I guess we'd have a possibility of a gas-fired generator would be the only thing that we may have is gas powered at this point.
Fantastic. And how are we on our tree count per disturbed acre? Do we meet the amount of trees we're supposed to have?
Yeah, I think they had 41 or something like that.
Yeah, it's right around there. So we are in excess of the requirement for this 3-acre lease parcel.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Supervisor Schultz again. I'll just add that rooftop solar is by far the easiest from a approval standpoint. So don't, if you guys are interested in that, don't hesitate to pursue it because it's not difficult to achieve. Basically, the roof provides a simple limits to the size of the array. It deals with all the issues of it being, blocking sight lines, whole 9 yards. So it's actually fairly easy to get done. Okay, great. Yeah, I think we'll be in touch. And again, I think we're just because we've come this far with this iteration of the approvals. I think we didn't want to muck up, so to speak, the site plan approval. But we are, like I said, we're looking into it. But that's good to know, Steve, that it. And it can be done at any time. Yeah. So you might, if you plan for it, You can get the approval if you want to like add it in year 2, plan ahead for it, but you could certainly do that. There's no requirement that you have to have approval up front. It can be added at any time.
Yeah, interesting. Okay.
Great, thank you. Who's next? Anyone else?
Hi, any improvement you guys do to this site is great. And this, I really like how you're working here. The only question I have is the creek area that's just outside your property is an absolute mess. But that being said, it's also habitat for animals. So as you guys clear this site and do your excavation, do you have any intent of encroaching into that creek area to clean it up, to cut back any brush? I mean, because it's definitely not a pretty site, and the way you're setting this up, there's some nice grass areas, between the creek and the parking lot for people to sit or do picnic type things. So what's your intent? Are you gonna go in there and encroach at all?
At this point, the proposal is not to encroach beyond the limits of the top of bank for the creek. We will be disturbing areas in between the creek and the project site, but the primary reason for that is for the removal of the existing pavement area and to increase the existing natural buffer.
Okay, I was just concerned if you were gonna cut back brush, like I said, outside of your area closer to the creek. And then the only other question I had, and it is more of a concern for light encroachment into the residents of the property. So the way it's set up, it looks to me like the entrance is basically facing the creek. On the back side of the building that would face the existing marketplace area, where will there be apartments there? Nope, not there. Up. Yes, in there. Are there going to be
Here.
apartments in that section?
Yes, there will be. That's the plan, right?
So, I mean, my concern is just with the changeover in use of Marketplace Mall, and I may be incorrect, but my original understanding when they add this orthopedic section is this backside that's sort of going to butt up to the area that I'm talking about is going to be employee parking. So obviously I know it's not going to be open overnight. It's not a 24-hour type of thing, but I'm assuming the lights from that parking lot are still going to be lit. Is that going to cause some light disturbance for the residents that are in that section? And is that a concern for you guys?
I don't believe it's a concern. I don't believe it's a concern. As you can see, the area you were looking at is over here, and the URMC project is definitely further to the east than where these units are facing.
Right, but that parking lot there, that was our understanding when URMC came before us, is that's going to be employee parking. So I'm assuming there's going to be light posts there. But maybe I'm
I think
misremembering.
it's existing. That would be existing. I think they were going to walk in at the food court.
Yeah, and that
They were going to, at
backside.
least on the north side of Dick's. So the food court, it's actually off the screen, up the page more
Okay.
towards Penny's. Yeah, there you go. See the race place there? Dick's is on the bottom. The race place is on the left there, just kind of upper left of.
Oh, so they're gonna come in around
Yeah,
more,
see
okay.
all the cars there at
Yep.
the L shape? That's the food court.
So that's where the employees are gonna come in.
Some staff is there and they're on the other side too, from what I recall.
Okay,
So, but I do agree, it's a good point. There's still poles in that area by Dick's and by the race place. So good question. I don't know how you want to phrase it. We should say, consider adding buffering to block light pollution from the mall as a
Yeah.
comment.
yeah, that would be sufficient. I mean, yeah,
Yeah, right. Anything else, Robin?
no, thank you.
Good comments. Thank you. It was good.
I was just
Steve.
thinking, because there's Dave and Buster's is there as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. Stevie all set. Who else? Bud went. Sarah
I'm all set.
all set tonight. Richard.
Ryan, hi, I have a few items and both are on 20, sheet number 21, detail 4 plan. Just wanted to comment on 2 items. The first one is the stabilized construction entrance. You guys drew in. Your specs are spot on, other than the minimum distance. You have a minimum distance of 50 feet. And Henrietta is asking for 100 feet. And that's shown on the town website. It's drawing RD 22.
Okay.
I'm just asking you to consider to increase that distance. Review that. Other than that, everything is spot on in that regard. The second item I have a comment on is in the detail for the concrete washout. You guys are building this is a substantial project. We're building this out of straw bales and poly and wood, and I really think it's a weak detail for a project this size. I don't think it's going to hold up, and I would hate to be the one to have to maintain this. I think it's going to be torn apart and rebuilt. I would just recommend that you beef up that detail, possibly with concrete or something more substantial.
All right, we can look at that. The detail does follow the New York State DEC Blue Book design detail standards.
No, understood. This is just my observation and recommendation.
Yep.
That's all I have.
So Richard, I just wanted to follow up on a couple there. So which detail was the first one that you wanted to change the distance from 50 to 100?
Stabilized construction.
Stabilized construction entrance. And then the silt filtration.
This was the concrete wash.
Oh, the concrete, oh, sorry, the next detail was the, you wanted a little bit better. That was concrete washout?
Yes.
Okay. Using more durable products for the concrete washout. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
More durable. Design. Great. I think everyone has gone. My one question for this, I realize it was, it's all asphalt now. What, Ryan, what does the green space calculation come out to be? I didn't see it on the plan. And I know you indicated you're adding 0.8 of an acre of green space to the what is mostly an impervious lot right now.
Yeah, I don't know that we have it. We'll add it to the plan, but like I said, we are reducing the impervious area by 0.8 of an acre. So there is a significant reduction,
Right.
And we'll add that to the plan.
Yeah, and I guess I don't know how to state it here. Just we typically require a minimum of 25% green space. So,
oh, I just got the calc from my colleague via text. 37.5% is what we're provided.
Oh, very good. So we will say in the note to add that to the plans. Add the percentage. Great.
I was just going to add, Ryan Brandt, there was a, the initial plans we had trying to maximize parking were kind of an entry road coming along the contours of that, the parcel line, the ground lease line. That was some good feedback we got from the town, just, very, very rough sketch we had sent along, and just kind of try to leave a little bit more green space in there. So that's why we have a planned gazebo out there, and just have some, even the area that is kind of leading up to the creek that we're not touching. It's still going to be green space, I guess, right? Even if it's not included in the calculation. So I think it'll be a nice. Not sure about the acreage, but a nice green space kind of separating the site from the creek.
Are you saying
Yep,
that
that's correct.
not part of?
It was good.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say that was much appreciated input from Supervisor Schultz and the town engineer Chris Martin. Originally, we had the first original sketch had the road traversing along this line here, and we cut it back to increase the green space for more opportunities for the residents of this community.
Perfect. Great. Thank you for the feedback there. Anyone else? I see some shaking heads. No. So I will read what we have. The applicant stated the following. With the intent of keeping the mall property viable, the proposal is for a 155,000 square foot, 150 unit, 4-story complex with an overall height of less than 50 feet. The special use permits have been granted by the town board. It is the leased parcel acreage on what is formerly known as formerly had a movie theater there. The existing asphalt is some of it's being converted to additional green space. I'm going to rewrite that to say 2.7 acres of impervious are going to be converted to 1.9 acres of impervious, increasing 0.8 of green space. The site lighting will be 25 feet high. Various crosswalks will be added. Stormwater will be handled by the existing systems designed for the original development. There will be buffers added for the Red Creek. However, no encroachment of the creek will occur. Traffic considerations and phasing have been discussed with the town, county, and state. Sorry, I'm filling in as I go. The on-site maintenance companies will maintain the landscaping. Green infrastructure is being considered. 8 trees per acre is being, HCB requirement is being satisfied. And you had, you indicated it would be 37% green space on the site. The HCB recommends to the planning board, landscaping plan is excellent. Consider buffering, consider adding buffering to block the light pollution from the mall. Consider revising the stabilized construction entrance detail from 50 feet to 100 feet, minimum distance to adhere, sorry, I'm writing here, to TOH requirements. Consider revising the concrete washout detail to be more durable design, a more durable design. And lastly, add the green space percentage to the plans. Are there any other comments? Glasses are off. People are shaking their heads no. And if there are no other comments, I do need a motion for this, please.
I'll make a motion.
Sarah, thank you.
I'll second it.
Bud,
For
I
approval.
see you over there. Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you. Nice job, Ryan and Ryan. Thanks for coming in tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening.
Have a good rest of the week.
Take Take care.
Are there, we don't have any items for old business or new listed. If any,
I do have one. This is Supervisor Schultz. I do have one.
hello, Supervisor, welcome.
Thank you. We are we're working on a number of projects in town with regards to new parks, and we are forming ad hoc committees for some of them in order to help plan them out. And in most of those, we've been looking to include somebody from a few of our different boards, such as the Parks and Rec Board. We'd also be interested in potentially having somebody from the Conservation Board. The first committee that's being formed is the Friends. Well, it's the Educators Grove. So it's we're looking to redo Hoskins Park to put in it's basically like a paved walk with benches and trees, with the idea that people can donate money for pavers, benches, or trees, obviously different rates, to honor an educator in the Rush Henrietta Central School District. This was started by a number of alumni who were wanting to honor one of their favorite educators at the school district, and it kind of grew from there. So Sarah has offered to help with that one. The other one we're looking at is Chapman Corners. So this is a park on the southeast corner of Erie Station Road and West Henrietta Road. So the old historic Western hamlet. And basically two residents purchased the property. They're working on a design for a new park that celebrates the history of the hamlet. With them and us together, we're going to make a bunch of improvements, and then they're going to sell us the land for what they originally purchased, and essentially we would gain all of the improvements. So again, that's in the works. If there be somebody interested in being involved in that, just let me know at supervisor@henrietta.org. So like I said, I just want to let you guys know that we're doing a number of these things, and we'd love to have, somebody involved. Again, we're probably talking a couple meetings at most before the committee dissolves. And then the idea would be putting the plan together, and then it would go through the planning board, conservation board, go through the full board system. But we wanted to have some input up front on some of that. I don't know if you had any questions.
Yeah, Steve, it's Bud. The Educators Grove, where is that park located? Was that Hogsworth Park?
Hoskins, it's
Hodgkins.
it's where Winton splits off from Pinnacle.
Right, okay.
It chose that location because of the two busy streets bounding it. It's a narrow park. It really doesn't make sense to have a kids' playground there because they'd always be close to the road.
Right.
So it was a perfect location. And again, if you can kind of picture a grove of trees, walking paths, and then in the center would be kind of, we're envisioning, again, we haven't drawn it up yet, but something along the lines of like a circular area with surrounded by benches and trees, as a place to, I guess, sit and contemplate. But, it's more of a hang out and read on a nice weather day type of park than anything else. The
Are there
park currently
sidewalks
exists,
in that area?
just not really developed.
Okay. All right, I know where it is.
Yeah, by the fire station.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah. Anything else for the supervisor on the park? So just please email Mr. Schultz, Supervisor Schultz, at his email address, or you could probably also tag on to Heather or Sarah's email, and they'll pass it along. So either Either one. Good.
Thank you.
Supervisor, anything
Yep,
else?
thank you.
Nope, that's it. Thanks for all your work tonight.
We did have we appreciate it. We did have a question that's come up a couple times about the tree banking, and 1 or 2 months back, we had an application that had quite a few trees. And I think actually a couple of the, it might have been the January application, because we had a couple of board members here and their eyebrows raised up when the numbers that were being proposed because they were short, the application was short by, I don't know, it might have been 100. On the total of the whole night, we were short probably 150 trees or something, some huge number. And so at some point, we ought to think about some sort of, like Sarah said earlier in the meeting, what is the guideline here? Where is the line in the sand versus, where do we force them to do something on the site versus, okay, we'll let you plant trees elsewhere in the town. So don't need an answer now, and maybe it's something we all kick around, but we don't want to let them off the hook trying to place, an overly large building on a very small postage stamp piece of property and
Right.
then let them get off the hook by planting trees elsewhere. On the other hand, if a property is a good use for that function and it works, then maybe we allow it. So that's, that's.
Yeah, so I guess my answer is it's essentially judgment based by the boards. That's why we've got, ultimately, I mean, you guys advise the planning board and they're the ones with the authority to enforce it. But, I think you just have to look at it, and some of it's a common sense, so I'm going to use Van Bortel as a perfect example.
Right.
You don't want to put a whole ton of trees in the front that's going to block the view of the cars, because that's what their business is.
Right.
Down the southern side, we had to do that tie-in with Channel 13 in order to get the road out to form a nice four-way intersection. So that kind of limited what trees they could do there. Along the back of the property, we asked them to drag their sewer out to the homes behind them, so they couldn't put trees over where the sewer easement.
Right.
It's really limited to where they could put trees.
Yeah.
And in that case, you can easily see that the majority of the trees would end up in the tree bank.
And the lot is very useful for what they're proposing. So.
Right. So for something like, some of these, you certainly, obviously and one of the things we love about what they did at Cornerstone is that they were increasing the amount of green space.
It's on it. Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that was because that mall is a sea of asphalt, right?
Oh, yeah.
But they were able to find space for all of their trees. And, I think in a lot of cases folks do, and I don't know whether they don't want to spend the money. A lot of it really depends, I think, whether it's a commercial entity, in other words, that's trying to get people in and to see their stuff versus, if it's a housing, like a multi-family housing, they typically want it to be more green because it's more appealing to people who live there. So,
even along Jefferson Road, we've talked to applicants and they're all starting to come on board. Actually, it's been a while now. There's certain developers that want the trees there. They think that it's it shows that they're prosperous along some of those out parcels. They've been planting very well and it looks nice and it brings the customers in, and they're really, a lot of them are starting to realize that. So yeah, we agree with that for sure.
Well, and I know, like, one of the things I know what FSI is doing on some of the properties they're redeveloping is they're adding the curbed islands in the parking lots.
Yeah.
It helps to keep people from cutting diagonally across, which can be dangerous for someone walking the parking lot. But it also provides for them to put a tree or two at the end of each parking row, which again breaks down on that look of that sea of asphalt. So the other great thing too is the use of the land bank parking. I always point to Lowe's. I don't know if I've ever seen Lowe's parking lot half full, even when it's
Yeah.
filled with mulch and products, right?
Right.
That's one that I really wish we'd have had land bank
Right. Agreed.
back then, because it didn't need to be that big. So I think, the combination of the two, I think we can really get the green up, but I don't think I would ever want to let them off the hook on the tree bank. In other words, if they can't fit it, I get it.
Yep.
But, we certainly would like to reforest some portions that have been stripped clear, or trees that have died due to
Ash borer.
ash borer or any of the other diseases. We have established a unit price, and in fact, I'm glad you brought this up, because I will add that as a resolution for this upcoming town board meeting to actually amend our fee schedule, if we haven't done it already, to amend our fee schedule to include that price. So what we're going to need to do is, now that we've got that established, is go back to a bunch of these folks who essentially had trees committed to the tree bank and say, okay, it's time to pay up.
Yeah.
And we'll start a planting program.
Great.
So
Sure. If you could get a couple volunteers here too, and as you know, we've always the scouts and all the troops would like to do some service work too. So
great. And the other thing I'll say is, if you guys as a conservation board have ideas of public land that could use trees from that tree bank, don't hesitate to send me recommendations. Because, obviously we're going to hit a bunch of town parks, but it also applies to other public lands, whether they're green belts or large public rights of way, things like that. The tree bank allows the trees to be planted on any public
nice.
public land.
Great.
Just quickly, I want to mention the,
Can't hear you. You can speak in the microphone. There.
can you hear me now? Somebody turn me off, they don't want to hear me.
Oh, there you
talking
go.
more.
There it is.
I just wanted to mention, I was at the Color Henrietta Green meeting last night, and they are doing a free tree seedling giveaway this Saturday, and you had to sign up for it, and there were so many people that were turned away because they only had 100 tree seedlings, so it was really exciting how many people in town wanted to
Great.
take advantage of that seedling program, so there's a lot of interest out there.
And we are starting to put together some stuff on sustainability in our town code. And we're working with Color Henrietta Green to go after, there's a lot of sustainability and green infrastructure and other similar types of grants out there. The challenge we have is finding the time for our folks to pursue those. So having a group of energized volunteers who will help us put the material together for submission is great. We did go after one this past year, but it's one of those, we found it about 3 days before the application was due. So we got something together quickly. I don't know that it was the best application in the world, but it was a good trial run. And so, like I said, I'm hoping to see a lot more in that regards.
Great. Well, Noreen, you reminded me of something. I did have a board member report earlier. So we had, of course, Earth Day was Arbor Day was last week, and we had a scout function across the entire county. There were over 3,000 trees planted, from what I understand. Our troop planted 100. There were, I think, 10 packs and troops over in Henrietta, over at Mendon Ponds, and we planted about 1,000 trees over there. Sorry. Yes, male and female. Yeah, so it's great. So that info is on the Scout website. So if you had anyone do any Arbor Day plantings or anything, awesome, great. Well, it is getting late, and we usually move these things along, and I've tried to do so tonight. So if there's nothing else from anybody, I do need a motion and a second for adjournment, please? Thank you, Steve. How about a second? Robin? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Have a good rest of the week.
Steve, are you still there?
I am.
Yeah, it's Bud again. Just a reminder, one of the other parks that we're looking maybe to do something with was that one on Beckwith Park.
Yep.
So we'll be in touch with you on that.
Sounds good.
All right, buddy. Thanks for your help.
Okay, thank you. Take care.